Hello again, thanks for joining. Here's what we've got coming up in this episode. It's a really nice looking SBB CFF Swiss locomotive. It's an RE44 and it's come from Klein Bahn. It's very cute, it looks really cool. Let's have a look at it. This is quite an old model from Klein Bahn. I got this second hand obviously, and it could definitely be called vintage now, but it does look really cool and it has a really nice retro look to it. Let's look at it in more detail. So straight away you'll notice this locomotive is in a really nice dark green colour. I really like this Swiss dark green colour that their locomotives are painted in this era. Like I said, this is on older models, so some of the details here is a bit crude by today's standards, and one of the things you'll notice straight away is that the window frames here are very deep and it does have glazing, but it's all the way back there. It's not flush fit at all. Underneath the windows it has these nice deep relief grills though, and it has the lettering SBB and CFF along with the running number, which is 10005, and some details down here of the model number of this locomotive. But they're painted really crudely. I'm not actually sure if that's been painted by a previous owner. If they have, they've done it really bad, but if it's come out of the factory then that's even a worse thing to have. At this end of the cab you can see it has some handrails here which have been painted in silver, and round the front here you have this extra plate. I guess it has a gangway door that you can walk through, and this plate would come down if that was the case. And you have the lights at the front here. I'm not sure if this has lighting, we'll check it out in a little while. It also has these two vacuum pipes and the buffers, and below it what looks like a snowplow attached to the bogie. There's no couplings on this locomotive, but there is a hole there. I think that's maybe for adding a coupling into it. I think that would actually spoil the front looks of this locomotive. It's looking very nice without it, but of course you want to pull some wagons with this. You'll see that there's another light here above the door, and again the glazing, it's frosted. I'm not sure whether it was like that originally or whether it's just got frosted over time, because like I said, this is quite old now, this model. Not exactly sure when it came out, but if you do know, please put it in the comments below. I'd love to know when this was made. So looking up on the roof, you can see that there are some problems along the edges of the silver and the green here, but that actually might be from age and the paint's just worn off. And looking up top, you can see something straight away, that it's got these two pantographs in metal. They're sprung loaded and they operate very nicely. And you'll also see here this is switchable between overhead pickup and two-wheel pickup. It also has some details here of this wire that runs through these plastic insulators and connects up the two pantographs. And I actually think that is what carries the current down into the motor as well. So it looks good and it also is functional. You can see a big screw there though, that's holding the model together. We'll take this apart in a little while and have a look at the motor in a minute. So the model's quite heavy, and underneath you can see that it has this grey metal chassis and it has the bogies here. Now all these wheels are picking up and all of them are driven as well, so that's quite a nice thing for this locomotive to have. It's only a very small locomotive, but they managed to get all-wheel drive into here. So let's see how this runs. So here it is on the test track. Let's give it some power and see what happens. Well, it's a noisy old thing, but it actually runs super smooth. You can run this at very little power and it just crawls along really nicely. It's a real testament to the build quality of this model. I'm quite impressed with it so far. It crawled along really nicely there. It was a bit noisy. It just runs so smoothly and it can just go at such a slow speed. It was really quite cool. I did notice actually when I was running it that on one end of the locomotive it's got two little pipes there between the buffers, and sadly on the other side it's only got one. It looks as though one has fallen off. So I'm going to have to try and find one of those to add to this, or else maybe I'll try and 3D print one. So let's open this up and let's have a look at the mechanism. So I think there's just one screw here on the roof, so we'll take that off and we'll see what happens. So that's quite a surprise. This has actually got two motors, and here you can see the chassis with its weight in the middle, and you can see the two motors. I didn't expect that at all. I thought it would be just a single motor with shaft drive to each bogie, but you can see that it picks up here from each of the bogies and it powers each of these two motors separately. You can see here that it has a light at the front of the locomotive here. It doesn't have one on the other end though. That's a bit strange. I guess one could be added in if you wanted to add one, but it does have one bulb there and it does seem to be working as well. I noticed that when it was running. So I'm very impressed with the engineering on this model. We've got two motors on top of the bogies and it's got this metal frame in between the two, and these motors must run in sync. So it's quite an interesting piece of engineering. Let's get this back together anyway. Okay, it's all back together now, so let's see how much this weighs. So this locomotive weighs 379 grams. So this little locomotive from Klein Bahn has turned out to be a real gem. Obviously it's been around a while and it's taken a few bashes here and there, and the paintwork isn't that great on the silver, and the painting on the numbers is just terrible. But I'm really impressed with the mechanics of this model, the fact that you can switch it between 2-rail or overhead pickup, and the fact that it's got 2 motors inside this thing is really quite impressive and really quite unexpected as well. It runs fantastically as well, although it's a bit noisy, and I now see why. If it's got 2 motors, it's got twice the noise. I've yet to figure out how to fit a coupling onto this model. That might be a bit of an issue, and considering it's 2 motors and all-wheel drive, it could pull a very long train, but the fact that the couplings might be an issue might not make that a possibility. One of the great things about this is that it's a small model as well, so it can easily be accommodated on smaller model railway layouts as well as larger ones, and its quirky looks are really appealing. It's got a very friendly looking front to it. Yes, there are some limitations by modern day standards. Definitely the glazing and the window surrounds are quite bad, and there's a limitation on the amount of detail on the plastic moulding too. That all said though, if you do find one of these, I think you should buy it straight away. It's a very nice little model. I think you'll really like it, and it could have a lot of potential to be improved with things like maybe LED lighting, and you could even custom fit some flush fit glazing as well. And the fact that this is still going strong when this is a bit of an old timer now is really testament to how good this has been put together. I think it'd be well worth picking up if you can find it, and if you like vintage model railways, then I think this would be an essential one. I'll put this on the turntable so you can see all the way around. Let me know what you thought about this video and my analysis of these models in the comments below. I'd really be interested to hear what you think. Please give this video a thumbs up, it really helps this channel, and you can subscribe for more videos like this in the future. But for now, that's it for today. See ya!